Hey everyone, if you want to skip straight to the tutorial on how to replace these toilet parts, I'll put timestamps in the description down below. So last night, Autumn noticed that there was some water on the floor in the bathroom right behind the toilet, and it turns out that it's just another day in home ownership and there is a leak in the supply line to the toilet. I'll show you what I mean. So we were checking out the floor and it turns out that it was leaking right here on where the supply line meets the toilet reservoir here. And I think it was going on for a while. You can see that this is a little rusted out. Autumn made a comment like a week ago about it too, and I think it's just gotten worse over time. And so yesterday I tried to tighten it with a wrench right up here. It's like I was slowly twisting it, and it wasn't fixing the problem. It was just still leaking, and if anything, it was making it worse. And this part's actually kind of embarrassing, but I was twisting our whole fill valve over here, and it kept on twisting, and it actually broke off our arm here that stops the fill valve. And I'll go more into depth about how the toilet works later, but it just kept turning this until it broke right here, and I didn't even notice because the lid was on it. So I tried turning off the water right here, and it turns out that our water valve doesn't work. This can happen a lot when you live in an area with a lot of hard water, meaning that there is a lot of calcium in your water, so it can get a lot of calcium flake buildup in your water facilities. And so when I tried to turn this off, this has probably been here since the house was built. This is more like a screw stop where you screw in this handle right here, and it is supposed to stop the water, but it's probably so blocked up with calcium it didn't even stop the water. So turns out that I need to replace, well, you can see I already did because I didn't want it leaking overnight, but I'll show you how to replace this too. But we needed to stop the water valve, the supply line here, and this fill valve here in the toilet. And I'll just show you how to replace the whole shebang here. So let's get started. I did already replace this water valve right here. This is kind of, you'll see this type of water valve more than this type now. Like I alluded earlier, this is like a screw stop, and they can tend to fail after a certain amount of time. This is what's called a ball valve, and inside, instead of a screw that you keep on twisting to stop it, it is a sphere with a hole cut into it, and so it only is a quarter turn, and that stops the water, and when you turn it, the water can slip through that hole and up to the supply line. So first thing you're going to want to do if you're replacing this is go turn off the main water line to your house. What you do first before you turn off the main water is you want to open up the faucet here to let the water run through. This is going to prevent any air bubbles getting into your water system. My main water shutoff valve looks like this, and it is in my basement. So once you have a faucet and even maybe your bathtub running, you want to slowly turn this a quarter turn down because, like I mentioned earlier, this is a ball valve. Yours might look just a little bit different, so shut it off all the way, but you want to make sure to do it real slowly and turn off the water. Once the water running in your sink or your bathtub has slowed down to like a soft leak, that means that you've drained out all the water in your current system, so you're not going to get water sprayed all over you when you replace the water valve.
So I'll just talk you through on how to replace this water valve. I'm not actually going to do it again because I don't want to risk ruining the threads or anything like that. But what I bought was a ball joint water valve that is 5/8 thread at the bottom and 3/8 thread at the top. Now, this is the only size I've ever seen for a residential water valve. This is probably the size that you have in your own house. So once the water is off and the water is drained, what you want to do is down here, let's focus. What you want to do is you want to twist this nut here at the bottom left, righty-tighty, lefty-loosey, to undo this whole nut. After this nut is off, you'll be able to just pop the water valve back off right here. It just is a thread right here. Just pull it off, and you're good to start putting on the new one. So just to help stop any leaks or anything like that, it's probably a good idea to put on some Teflon tape around your threads. So this is the old water valve. What you want to do is you want to wrap the Teflon threads the same direction that your threads are. And once you do that, you're good to put on the nut onto your new water valve. At this point, you're probably safe to shut the water valve off and turn on your water if you need it, or if you're just going to replace the water supply line and the water valve, you might as well just leave the water off until the repairs are done. My water is on currently, but I have the water valve closed off and it's working just fine. So it is tested and I know it's not going to leak.
Now we're good to attach the water line. Here I have a braided nickel water line. I ended up going with the 20-inch. It's a lot longer than what we really needed. I probably should have gone with a shorter length, but hey, I'd rather have too long of a water line than too short and it not reach.
I also forgot to mention that the water supply line that I bought was a 3/8 at the bottom to attach to our water valve and a 7/8 thread at the top. And this is very standard residential sizes for a water supply line. I've never seen any other kind, so the only thing you really need to worry about is the length of your supply line. 20 inches was probably a little bit too long for me, but like I mentioned earlier, better to be too long than too short.
So your water valve will probably come with this nut already threaded on. We're good to just go ahead and take that off. We're not gonna need it anymore. And now we're just going to thread this water line on, easy peasy. It's kind of hard doing this one-handed with my left hand, but it's all for the cause of the video, right? Once it's finger tight on there, you're good to tighten it down with a wrench. Oh, there goes my water line. Oh, it's falling. You want to make sure that it's pretty tight, but try not to overdo it because that can break your brand new water valve you just put on. Just till it's nice and snug. Now we're good to take off this water fill valve. And let me just quickly explain how fill valves work. So the water is going up your water valve up here, up the supply line, and it's going to go into your fill valve. And if you have a fill valve that is this design with the arm, this is just a hollow ball. And when it's down, it means it's gonna open up this fill valve to let water in. But as the reservoir tank fills up, it's going to lift this arm up, which is going to stop this fill valve. The new fill valve that I'll be replacing works a little bit differently, but similar concept where the water raises up the stopper to stop up the water.
So your fill valve is attached by a nut underneath your reservoir tank. Right here you can see it. This is my supply line and it's going into the fill valve, and right underneath is a nut. So it's probably a good idea to take off this water supply line first, and then you can start undoing this righty-tighty lefty-loosey, and it shouldn't be too hard. Just use a wrench or some channel locks. So we're taking off the supply line just so it's not in the way. So I'm not going to be able to show you this part because when I twist the nut itself,
my water valve starts spinning, and that's the whole reason why I broke the arm on my water valve in the first place. So I'm going to be undoing this nut down here while I hold the water valve up here to make sure that it doesn't twist. And then I'm going to completely twist this nut off and be able to pop this guy off. Before I go any further, I probably should have said this earlier, it's a good idea to drain out as much water in the reservoir tank as you can. Just by pushing down the handle here, it's going to lift the flapper and let the water into the tank. And so you're gonna want to drain out as much water as you can. Of course, all the water won't go out because it's not a flat surface. And so there will be some water leakage. It's probably a good idea to have some towels on hand, because when I lift this water valve off, the remaining water right here, you can see it's already starting to drip, is going to drip on the floor. So get some towels ready before you lift this water valve off and take it completely out. So I took off my nut. It looks like this. It's going to be a plastic. We're good to just throw this away. Let's take off the hose right here and lift this up. There goes that little bit of water I was warning you about, but I went and got a towel, so we're good. So now we have all the old, bad, gross toilet parts out. This is the water valve that I bought for my toilet. It's just a standard Fluid Master valve. It works similar to my old water valve that I showed you, but instead of an arm hanging out the side, it's this empty tank here that the water raises. and once it goes up to the top, that's what stops the water. And you can adjust how much it fills up by this little lever right here. Turning it right or left will affect how much water fills up in your tank. Water valve should come with a little rubber washer like this. We're just gonna slide this right over the top. You just wanna slide it all the way up there so it's nice and snug up against the bottom. Once you thread it through, it should push it and make it pretty compressed anyway. Now we'll just put our water valve in our hole here. You want to make sure this little spout for our hose is facing our tube right here because we want to angle our hose in here. So make sure it's just faced that way. Now we have our washer right here. We're just going to twist it right and tighten the water valve opposite of how we took out the old water valve. This one's nice because it has the wings and you can really get a nice grip and really tighten it. And that'll stop any water from coming underneath now. You can see that the washer is working just fine. You can see on my towel, this is from all the old water in the toilet. This is all the calcium that you get with hard water. And if you don't have a water softener and you live in an area with hard water like I do, it's just something that you're gonna have to deal with in all your water facilities. Now we're just going to screw on the water supply line, righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. It should be all, you should know what you're doing by now. Once you've taken it apart, you kind of get how it all goes together. So we're just doing the opposite, piecing all the new stuff back in. You can see my water line was a bit longer, so it does have to twist around. Oh well, we're too into it now. Just make sure it's nice and finger tight. You don't want to do it too much, but you do want it to be snug for sure. So with my water valve, yours might be different, but right here, this pole right here adjusts how much the water fills up in the tank. So if you're having trouble flushing things, you're gonna want more water in your reservoir tank. If not, and you want to conserve on water, it's a good idea to leave this lower. Right now, I have it on the highest setting right here, so my tank fills up a lot. But if you want it lower, you just twist this lever left, and that's going to lower this, like this empty ball right here, so it doesn't lift up as high. So that means the water will stop it sooner. So if you got the same water valve that I did, I've always seen it come with this. It comes with this little doohickey right here, and this is so this is where you put the hose, and then you're gonna pinch this on the side so it's facing inwards. Now my tube already has one of these for it, so I don't need to worry about this, but if you don't, it's probably a good idea to angle it in. If not, you can always just point the hose down in there pretty deep. But we want to cut down our hose right here. Mine is a pretty short distance, so just grab a knife or something and cut it down to the proper size. And you're just gonna wanna slide it on this post right here. Make sure it's on all the way, like so. And we're going to angle this to go down in there. Come on, buddy. It down there. Okay, I think we're good to turn on the water and see how well we did. All right, so if you still have the main water valve turned off, you're going to want to leave your faucet and your bathtub open to prevent any air bubbles, and you're going to slowly turn on your main water valve, and then you're going to hear water coming up from upstairs. Hurry upstairs to make sure that this isn't leaking, any of your work isn't leaking, but you're going to hear your bathtub and your faucet running water. And if it's not sputtering and like getting a lot of air out of your system, you're good to slowly turn those off as well. Now, let's go ahead and turn this on and see if we have a leak. Check right here. Nope. Nothing down at where the hose connects. Nope. And now it's going to be filling up with water. Everything looks good. Make sure that this stops to the level that you want. So this is the max level that my toilet tank will go. You can see as far as these grody lines are, these water calcium lines. It used to fill up a lot higher, but I think it should still flush just okay. Let's test it out. Alright, everything seems to be working properly. I think I'm off to go to Home Depot because I'm just now realizing how grody my toilet flapper is, so, yeah.
Now all that's left is to put on the toilet tank lid. Don't crack the porcelain, because you're working with one hand. There we go. You, my friend, are a toilet master. Wear that title with pride.
So guys, there you have it. That's how you replace the water valves and the water supply line in your toilet. If you have any questions about those or any other part of the toilet, I know my way around a toilet. So please give me any questions that you have and I will be happy to help you out. That should be it for now. Thanks for watching. Bye!